Leo? A slight 14-year-old with eyes that held more courage than his trembling hands betrayed, trudged along the narrow alleyway that had long been his unwelcome stage. Just yesterday, the same alley had echoed with the harsh laughter of a local gang, a ragtag band of hardened youths who found pleasure in breaking spirits. Their cruel taunts and menacing glares were as constant as the rising sun, each jibe a reminder of his smallness in a world that seemed too vast to care. But today, as Leo's footsteps reverberated in the cool air, murmurs began to ripple among his tormentors. "Isn't that the kid? The nephew of Colonel Marco Vellini?" One voice hesitated. The name, laden with an unspoken promise of formidable legacy, transformed the atmosphere. Faces contorted with scorn now froze in a blend of disbelief and reluctant respect. In that charged moment, the relentless rhythm of cruelty faltered. Leo's silent strength, rooted in a family honor that none could ignore, cast a long, unyielding shadow over the alley. Before that fateful morning in the alley, Leo's life was already steeped in whispers of a past larger than his own modest existence. In the quiet hours of the evening, as the city's neon glow gave way to the soft lull of night, Leo would sit cross-legged on the worn wooden floor of his small apartment. His mother, her eyes reflective with both pride and quiet sorrow, would recount the remarkable exploits of his uncle, Colonel Marco Vellini. The colonel was no ordinary man. Long before Leo was born, Marco had traversed rugged battlefields and led missions in distant lands where loyalty was hard-won and honor was the only currency that mattered. His tactical brilliance and unwavering integrity had earned him both respect and fear among allies and adversaries alike. The tales were rich with details, how, in the heat of conflict, the colonel's calm resolve turned the tide of battle, how his deep empathy for his comrades forged bonds that transcended the brutal realities of war. Each story painted a portrait of a man whose life was a testament to sacrifice and courage, qualities that Leo felt pulsing in his own blood. Even as a child, Leo sensed that his destiny was somehow intertwined with that storied legacy. The soft, measured cadence of his mother's voice as she described Marco's past battles filled him with a quiet determination, a belief that even the smallest person could harbor greatness. He recalled the way his mother's eyes would light up when speaking of the colonel's last mission, a defining moment where honor prevailed against overwhelming odds. Though young, Leo internalized these narratives, letting them nurture his spirit in the face of everyday hardships. As Leo grew, the echoes of his uncle's valor became both a guiding light and an invisible armor. In the corridors of his school and the hidden corners of his urban neighborhood, where bullies and gangs thrived on instilling fear, Leo clung to the hope that the legacy of honor could one day shield him. Unbeknownst to many, his connection to that fabled past was destined to transform not only his own life but also the lives of those who had once tormented him. Every morning, the school's halls transformed into a gauntlet of whispered judgments and furtive glances. Leo moved through these corridors like a shadow, quiet, observant, and burdened by the weight of expectations. Even as he sat at his desk, hidden among rows of indifferent faces, the lingering legacy of Colonel Marco Vellini reminded him that honor was not defined by the cruelty of those around him. Outside the classroom, a small band of local bullies convened, their laughter echoing off the walls with a sinister familiarity. Known for their relentless pranks and scornful taunts, these boys had honed their craft by preying on the vulnerable. Today, their target was Leo, whose slight frame and gentle demeanor made him an easy mark. Their eyes sparkled with mischief, as they schemed another act of public humiliation, a daily ritual meant to reinforce their dominance over those they deemed weak. Yet, Every cruel word and every callous shove stoked a quiet inner resolve in Leo. As he absorbed the sting of ridicule, he recalled the stories his mother had lovingly recounted in the dim light of evening, tales of his uncle's calm bravery amidst chaos, of battles fought not just with brawn, but with the strength of a moral compass. These memories acted as an invisible shield, a reminder that even the smallest spark of courage could ignite a transformation. When the final bell rang, releasing a flood of students into the world, Leo stepped out into the cool embrace of the afternoon. The journey home was more than a physical passage, it was a careful navigation through an urban maze etched with memories of past torments. The familiar alleys, tainted by echoes of cruel laughter, now seemed to whisper back promises of change. In that reflective solitude, Leo's eyes slowly lifted toward the horizon, a subtle, defiant gesture that hinted at the dawning of something far greater than the sum of his daily struggles. Unbeknownst to him, this was the calm before a storm of transformation. Each step he took that day was a quiet declaration that even in a world shadowed by cruelty, the legacy of honor could light the path toward redemption and change. The shift began subtly, like a whisper caught in a restless wind. One humid afternoon, as Leo lingered on the fringes of the neighborhood park, a low murmur reached his ears. In a secluded corner beneath a flickering streetlight, two figures from the gang, Mace and Jory, exchanged hushed words. "They say he's the nephew of Colonel Vellini. Can you believe it? I know. It's like he carries a secret weapon with him." In a fragmented exchange that rippled with a mix of awe and trepidation, these words, casual yet loaded, were the spark that ignited doubt among those who once reveled in tormenting Leo. Over the next few days, the revelation spread quietly through the urban labyrinth. What had been an unchallenged power dynamic was now punctured by the realization that Leo's lineage carried the weight of a formidable legacy. The very fabric of the gang's bravado began to fray as whispers replaced jeers. Under the cold glow of streetlights one chilly evening, the unthinkable unfolded. Rico, the gang's de facto leader, normally a figure of unyielding menace, approached Leo after school. His usual sneer had given way to a conflicted, almost trembling expression. "Leo? I never knew," Rico admitted, his voice betraying a mixture of fear and reluctant respect. In that charged moment, the atmosphere shifted from one of blatant hostility to a silent reckoning. The strength that once bound the gang was now undermined by inner doubts and the unsettling truth of Leo's heritage. As news of the encounter spread, more members of the gang began questioning their actions. In whispered gatherings and solitary reflections, they confronted the reality that their cruelty had been misdirected, a reaction born not of weakness but of a deep-seated respect for a legacy they had underestimated. One by one, the bonds that held the gang together unraveled, until what had once been a menacing force dissolved into scattered echoes of regret. Leo, who had borne the weight of their scorn for so long, now found himself standing at a crossroads. The revelation of his true lineage had not only shielded him from immediate harm, but had also sparked a transformation that reached deep into the hearts of his tormentors. It wasn't vengeance that stirred this change, it was the slow, powerful emergence of truth and honor, capable of disarming even the most entrenched cruelty. With each passing day, as the remnants of the gang faded away, a new narrative began to take shape in the neighborhood, a narrative where respect could replace fear, and where the legacy of valor and integrity became a beacon for redemption and hope. Under the fading glow of a chilly twilight, the very place once echoing with taunts, the old neighborhood playground, became an unlikely stage for reconciliation. The remnants of the gang, now fractured and uncertain, gathered in a quiet assembly beneath a makeshift canopy of streetlights. The air, heavy with unspoken remorse, set the scene for a reckoning that none had foreseen. Rico, the gang's former leader, whose intimidating presence had once instilled fear, stepped forward with a tentative, burdened expression. His voice, wavering with sincerity, broke the silence. I was wrong. All of us, we lost our way. I never imagined that our actions would bring us to this moment. The confession, raw and unguarded, rippled through the crowd, stirring emotions that had long been suppressed. Leo, standing a few steps apart yet at the center of this unfolding transformation, met Rico's gaze with a calm determination, drawing deeply from the legacy of honor instilled in him by his uncle. He replied softly, "Our past does not chain us. Each of us can choose a different path, a path of respect and healing." His words, gentle but firm, resonated with the quiet power of forgiveness and understanding. That evening marked the beginning of a slow and painful healing. The former bullies, once bound by a code of cruelty, began to take tentative steps toward restitution. They organized community cleanups, repainted broken fences, and volunteered at the local center to revitalize the neglected park. Every act of repair, no matter how small, symbolized a reclaiming of dignity, a rejection of the cycle of violence that had once defined them. In the transformation of the once feared gang members, Leo discovered the true impact of compassion. What had started as a whispered legacy of strength had evolved into a collective journey toward redemption. The scars of the past, though not erased, became the foundation upon which new, hopeful beginnings were built. Each day, as the community healed bit by bit, Leo emerged not as a victim of cruelty, but as a catalyst for change, an enduring reminder that even the smallest spark of courage can ignite a lasting revolution of the heart. Years passed, and the city, once marred by the shadows of cruelty, began to pulse with renewed energy and hope. The neighborhood park, once a silent witness to a troubled past, now thrived as a community hub where laughter mingled with the chirping of birds. Graffiti that once bore the marks of gang insignias had been transformed into vibrant murals, each stroke of color narrating a tale of renewal and promise. Leo, no longer the slight, timid boy of yesteryear, had grown into a figure of quiet strength and inspiration. Now in his early 20s, he walked the streets with a purpose that extended far beyond his own life. In community centers and local schools, he shared the lessons of resilience and forgiveness he had learned during those turbulent years, a living testament to the enduring power of honor over hate. His presence was a constant reminder that every individual, no matter how small or overlooked, could spark change and rebuild fractured lives. As the sun set on another hopeful day, Leo paused on a familiar corner of the revitalized neighborhood. Looking out over the thriving community, he saw faces of all ages smiling together, united by a shared commitment to a better tomorrow. In that reflective moment, he realized that his journey, from a bullied child to a catalyst for transformation, had come full circle. The legacy of his uncle, Colonel Marco Vellini, was not just a shadow of past glories but a living, breathing force that continued to inspire acts of courage and compassion. In that peaceful twilight, as the city embraced the promise of a new dawn, Leo silently vowed to carry forward the mantle of change. His story had woven itself into the fabric of the community, a tapestry of redemption, hope, and the unyielding belief that every new day held the power to rewrite destiny. As time marched forward, Leo's quiet determination blossomed into a full-fledged mission to mend the fractured bonds of his community. No longer defined solely by the scars of his past, Leo embraced his role as a mentor to those teetering on the brink of despair. His vision materialized in the form of a community center, a sanctuary where lessons of resilience, compassion, and self-worth were shared through real-life experiences rather than traditional textbooks. Inside these welcoming walls, a diverse group of young souls gathered, each carrying their own burdens and untold stories. Leo's gentle guidance and unwavering belief in redemption transformed the center into a vibrant hub of hope. In late-night discussions, over cups of tea and shared struggles, the seeds of a better future were planted. Every setback became a stepping stone, every voice heard, and every individual recognized for their inherent potential. Beyond the center, Leo's story, the boy who had once been bullied and then vindicated by the unyielding legacy of honor, began to ripple outwards. Whispers of his transformation spread to neighboring districts and even to far-off cities, inspiring others to believe that a change in destiny was possible. Leo's journey became a living testament that true legacy is not confined to the echoes of battlefields but is built each day in acts of courage, compassion, and understanding. Yet, challenges still emerged as remnants of old habits and distrust occasionally reared their heads. Whenever doubts surfaced, Leo's quiet conviction served as a beacon. Real change is a process, nurtured by persistent effort and the collective will to forge a better tomorrow. As he stood one evening under the soft glow of a setting sun, watching the community center buzz with the laughter and chatter of renewed lives, Leo realized that his mission was far from complete. In that reflective moment, he understood that his legacy was no longer just a familial echo, it had grown into a dynamic force, one that would inspire future generations to rise above adversity. With every new life touched, Leo's journey reaffirmed the timeless truth that courage, compassion, and resilience are the true measures of greatness. Even as the community center flourished under Leo's steady guidance, the remnants of old wounds were not so easily laid to rest. In the gentle hum of progress, subtle tremors of discontent began to ripple through the neighborhoods. Rumors surfaced about a mysterious figure, someone cloaked in the shadows of Leo's past, whose arrival threatened to unearth buried conflicts and challenge the fragile harmony that had taken root. Late one rainy evening, as the city's streets glistened under neon reflections, whispers of this enigmatic presence reached the ears of those who still remembered the darker days. In a narrow, abandoned corridor behind a row of shuttered shops, a lone figure convened with a few disaffected souls. Their murmurs carried a dangerous mix of nostalgia and defiance, as if yearning to revive the power once wielded by the gang that had long since disbanded. Across town, Leo sat in the quiet solitude of the community center's back room, poring over old photographs and letters that had belonged to his uncle, Colonel Vellini. The memories were bittersweet, each one a reminder of battles fought and sacrifices made, but also a testament to how far he had come. Yet, as a chill wind swept through the open window, Leo couldn't shake the feeling that the past was reaching out once more, testing the strength of the bonds he'd worked so hard to build. The next day, as the morning sun cast long shadows over the freshly painted walls of the center, Leo sensed an undercurrent of unease among the volunteers and residents. A few long-standing community members expressed concern over the resurgence of old names and the reappearance of symbols once associated with fear and division. Recognizing that healing was a continuous process, Leo decided it was time to confront these echoes head-on. Gathering the community for an impromptu meeting, he spoke with a calm, resolute tone. We all carry our pasts with us. He began, his eyes sweeping across the worried faces. But our future is defined by the choices we make today. Let us learn from the past, not be enslaved by it. His words, imbued with both the wisdom of experience and the courage of conviction, kindled a renewed sense of unity. In that defining moment, Leo and his community stood ready to face the challenges of old shadows with the light of newfound hope, prepared to transform even the echoes of the past into a harmonious chorus for a brighter tomorrow. As summer waned and autumn's chill began to settle over the city, the seeds of discontent that had once whispered through shadowed alleyways took root in earnest. A mysterious figure, known only by the moniker the Shade, began to gather a small, disaffected group of individuals. These were souls who still clung to the old ways, nostalgic for a time when power was asserted through fear and dominance. The Shade, with his penetrating gaze and an air of clandestine authority, promised them a revival of the order they once revered. Late one overcast evening, as the community center buzzed with its usual activities, the fragile peace was suddenly threatened. A sudden surge of voices erupted from outside, and a group of dissenters, motivated by the Shade's murmured promises, descended upon the center. Their anger, raw and untempered, clashed with the gentle hum of hope that had come to define the neighborhood. Shouts mingled with the clatter of hurried footsteps as a tense standoff began to form just beyond the welcoming doors. Inside, Leo sensed the imminent danger that the resurgence of old resentments could bring. With calm resolve, he stepped forward to meet the challenge, determined to defend the community he had helped nurture. He exited the center and found himself face to face with the Shade beneath the flickering glow of a streetlight. In that charged moment, their eyes locked, a silent confrontation between a force of dark nostalgia and a beacon of transformative hope. "Why do you cling to a past that only breeds more pain?" Leo asked, his voice steady despite the rising tension. "We built this community on trust and unity. The old ways only bring division. Let us forge a future free from fear." For a long, breathless moment, the Shade's eyes narrowed, the weight of old memories and unhealed wounds flickering across his face. Around them, the gathered dissenters held their collective breath, caught between the lure of familiar strength and the promise of something better. The confrontation was not one of physical might but of ideologies, a battle to determine whether the community would once again succumb to the corrosive power of past conflicts or stand united under the banner of redemption and renewal. In that pivotal exchange, the true test of Leo's legacy emerged. The outcome would not be decided by force but by the resilience of a community's commitment to change. As the storm of discord raged around him, Leo's quiet conviction shone as a reminder that even in the darkest moments, the light of unity and compassion could guide them toward a brighter tomorrow. In the charged silence that followed the intense confrontation, the streetlight's weak glow seemed to underscore the gravity of the moment. The assembled crowd, once a seething mass of dissent, gradually fell into a contemplative hush. Leo's unwavering calm in the midst of turmoil had begun to sway even the most hardened hearts. The Shade, whose eyes burned with the embers of old resentments, now appeared visibly shaken. His gaze drifted across the faces before him, faces that were no longer filled solely with anger but now reflected uncertainty and a glimmer of hope. In that pause, one of his closest allies stepped forward, her voice tentative yet sincere. "Maybe we've been clinging to a past that only deepens our wounds," she murmured. Her words rippled through the crowd, inviting others to reconsider their long-held grudges. Leo seized the fragile moment. approaching the center of the gathering with measured steps. He spoke in a tone that was neither forceful nor pleading, but full of quiet determination. "We all carry scars from what came before," he said. "But we also have the power to heal. Let's not allow our past to dictate our future. Together, we can build something better, a future rooted in understanding, not in old hatreds." As his words sank in, the atmosphere began to change. The fervor of dissent started to dissolve into thoughtful murmurs. The dissenters, once united by a desire to resurrect a bygone order, slowly dispersed into small clusters. Some turned back toward the community center, while others melted into the night, burdened with the dawning realization of the possibility for redemption. Even the shade's hardened features softened as the internal battle waged within him. He hesitated, the familiar pull of a dangerous legacy weakening under the light of Leo's gentle conviction. Though the path to change was not immediate. In that defining moment, it was clear, the old cycle of violence was giving way to a new era of reconciliation. The tension that had once threatened to reignite the flames of division now receded into a hopeful calm. Leo's steadfast belief in unity and renewal had not only diffused the storm of discord but had also paved the way for a future where every individual could choose healing over harm. In the quiet aftermath, as the night slowly surrendered to the promise of a new dawn, the community took its first tentative steps toward a shared destiny, one built on the enduring power of forgiveness, courage, and the transformative strength of a legacy reimagined. With the dark clouds of past conflict finally receding, a soft, steady light began to bathe the neighborhood, a light nurtured by collective hope and hard-won unity. The city, once defined by crumbling facades and lingering memories of division, now pulsed with the vibrant colors of renewal. Walls that had once bore the scars of graffiti and hostility were transformed into canvases of community art. Each mural a story of resilience and the promise of a better tomorrow. Leo walked these streets now transformed by purpose. Every corner seemed to echo with the laughter of children and the murmurs of neighbors sharing small victories, a freshly planted community garden here, a newly painted community mural there. The community center, once a haven born out of necessity, had grown into the heart of the neighborhood. It hosted workshops that ranged from art therapy sessions to practical classes on civic engagement, drawing together people who had once been on opposing sides of a bitter divide. At the center of this transformation was a grand celebration organized to mark the anniversary of the day when the old ways were finally set aside. In the town square, tables laden with food, music that carried both modern rhythms and traditional tunes, and the cheerful chatter of people coming together created a tapestry of shared hope. Former adversaries, once bound by the cycle of aggression, now greeted each other with tentative smiles and, in many cases, genuine embraces. They recounted stories of personal growth, acknowledging that the journey from bitterness to forgiveness was as challenging as it was rewarding. Leo stood on a modest stage, his voice clear and earnest as he addressed the assembled crowd. Today, we celebrate not just the end of an old era, but the beginning of a future built on trust, creativity, and mutual respect, he said. Every act of kindness, every moment of understanding, paves the way for a community where every person can flourish. His words resonated with the gathered crowd, instilling a renewed sense of purpose and responsibility. As the festivities continued into the night, the community found that the bonds of their shared journey were far stronger than the divisions of the past. In that jubilant atmosphere, old wounds began to heal, and new dreams were planted. The legacy of courage that Leo had inherited, and now embodied, continued to inspire, lighting the way toward new horizons where unity reigned supreme and every individual could contribute to the mosaic of hope and renewal. With the triumphant glow of new horizons still fresh in every heart, Leo began to sense that the ripple of change was spreading far beyond the borders of his own neighborhood. The seeds of tomorrow were quietly sprouting in unexpected corners of the city, young minds inspired by his journey, emerging community leaders, eager to mend old wounds, and even those who had once been adversaries, now reaching out with cautious optimism. One crisp winter afternoon, as Leo strolled through a refurbished district adjacent to his own, he came upon a modest gathering at a newly established community center. The faces there were a tapestry of hope and uncertainty. Amidst them stood a young boy whose eyes, wide with a blend of apprehension and determination, mirrored the very uncertainty Leo had once known. The boy hesitantly approached, clutching a worn notebook filled with scribbled dreams and questions about courage and forgiveness. In that quiet, defining moment, Leo recognized the spark of potential he had once carried. With a gentle smile and a reassuring pat on the shoulder, he invited the boy into a conversation, one that would bridge the gap between past pain and future promise. Every story has a beginning, Leo explained softly. And every act of kindness plants a seed. Today, you start yours? That simple exchange became the foundation of a mentoring bond, with Leo determined to share the lessons of his transformation, and the strength he'd found in embracing his legacy. News of Leo's compassion and the tangible change it brought soon traveled across city lines. Invitations to speak at local schools, civic forums, and community gatherings began to pour in. Everywhere he went, Leo found that his story resonated deeply, reminding others that even the darkest beginnings could give way to radiant hope. Neighborhoods once divided by old conflicts started to emulate his model of reconciliation, establishing centers and programs that celebrated unity, creativity, and the enduring power of forgiveness. As dusk settled over the city on yet another day of quiet triumph, Leo paused on a familiar corner to take in the scene. The streets, now adorned with murals of renewal and bustling with the laughter of children, whispered promises of a future unburdened by past divisions. In that reflective silence, he realized that his legacy had transcended the confines of his own life. It had become a movement, an ever-growing tapestry woven from the threads of shared dreams, renewed community bonds, and the collective determination to build a better tomorrow. In that luminous moment, Leo understood that every seed planted by compassion and courage held the potential to transform a community, a city, and ultimately, the world. Years turned into decades, and the neighborhood that once echoed with pain and division blossomed into a living tapestry of hope. The community center, the crucible of change born from Leo's early struggles, had grown into a renowned institution of education, art, and healing. Its walls, now vibrant with murals depicting scenes of unity and resilience, served as a constant reminder of the transformative power of compassion. Leo, matured by the passage of time and enriched by the wisdom of lived experience, had become a cherished mentor and symbol of hope. His own journey, from a bullied boy to a catalyst for communal rebirth, was recounted at gatherings, in classrooms, and during spirited debates about the future of the city. In every retelling, Leo's quiet strength and unwavering belief in redemption inspired both the old and the new generations to strive for a life defined by integrity and kindness. On a crisp spring morning, the scent of fresh blossoms mingled with the sound of children's laughter as the community prepared for its annual Day of Renewal celebration. Neighbors, former adversaries, and new voices from every corner of the city converged at the center, eager to commemorate the ongoing journey toward unity. At the heart of the event, a modest stage had been erected, a platform for stories of perseverance, heartfelt reflections, and future dreams. Standing before the gathered crowd, Leo spoke with a voice both gentle and resolute. "Our journey never truly ends," he declared, his eyes sweeping across the sea of hopeful faces. "Every day offers a new opportunity to build on our shared legacy, one that is forged not by our past hardships, but by the courage and kindness we show one another in every moment. This legacy is alive, evolving with every act of compassion and every effort to heal." His words, simple yet profound, resonated deeply within every heart, reaffirming the belief that change was a continuous, collective process. As the day unfolded, stories of personal triumph and communal victories filled the air. Former bullies now led youth programs. Local artists transformed blank walls into vibrant expressions of identity. And neighbors, once divided by old grievances, embraced in newfound solidarity. In that lively celebration, Leo witnessed the very essence of his lifelong mission, a community that not only survived its past but flourished in spite of it. When twilight draped the city in soft hues of gold and purple, Leo stepped away from the celebration to gaze at the transformed streets. The legacy he had inherited from his storied past had grown into a beacon of hope, one that would continue to inspire and guide future generations. In the quiet, reflective moment, Leo understood that true legacy was never a static relic of history, it was an ever-burning light, ignited by everyday acts of courage, compassion, and the unyielding desire to create a better tomorrow. In the quiet twilight of a city reborn, Leo stood upon a gentle rise overlooking the vibrant community that had once been shrouded in despair. Now, decades later, every corner of the neighborhood pulsed with the heartbeat of unity, a mosaic of art, laughter, and memories forged in the crucible of shared struggle and triumphant transformation. As he gazed at the murals that narrated the journey from darkness to light, Leo's thoughts wandered back to that first fateful day in the alley. The timid boy he once was had blossomed into a symbol of hope, a living legacy that had inspired change far beyond his own life. New leaders had emerged from the very streets he once trod, each carrying forth the torch of compassion and resilience in their own unique ways. Among them, the bright-eyed voices of the next generation echoed with ideas, innovation, and an unwavering commitment to progress. In community centers that now doubled as hubs for creative expression and civic engagement, young and old exchanged stories, weaving together lessons from the past with dreams for the future. Technology, art, and grassroots activism merged seamlessly with time-honored traditions of neighborly support. The digital archives, interactive exhibits, and lively debates ensured that the rich tapestry of the neighborhood's history would continue to inform and inspire every new chapter. Leo smiled as he recalled the countless moments of reconciliation, when former adversaries embraced, when old wounds were tenderly mended, and when the shared belief in a better tomorrow overcame the vestiges of fear and division. It was in these moments, small yet monumental, that the true meaning of legacy revealed itself, not as a static inheritance of past glories, but as an ever-evolving journey of healing, learning, and the collective courage to create lasting change. In that reflective silence, under a sky painted with the hues of dusk, Leo understood that his story was not an ending but a continuous ripple across time. Every act of kindness, every conversation bridging old differences, And every new idea nurtured in the community was a testament to the unending journey toward a future unbound by the scars of the past. And so, as the night embraced the city, the light of unity and compassion continued to shine, guiding every heart toward a destiny where hope, resilience, and shared dreams reigned supreme. As the seasons turned and time wove new patterns in the tapestry of life, Leo's influence began to extend far beyond the familiar streets of his once fractured neighborhood. Word of the remarkable transformation, a community reborn from the ashes of old enmities, had traveled to distant towns and even across state lines. Delegations from nearby cities sought Leo's counsel on community renewal. And his story ignited sparks of hope in places long shadowed by discord. On a brisk autumn day, Leo journeyed to a neighboring town where a similar struggle for unity was underway. In a modest town hall filled with wary yet curious faces, he shared the intimate details of his own journey, from a bullied boy to a beacon of change. His gentle, honest words resonated deeply, as locals recognized reflections of their own hardships in his tale. By the end of his talk, many hearts had shifted from despair to cautious optimism, and plans were set in motion to replicate the community center model that had been so pivotal in his own neighborhood. Back in his home community, the ripple effects of these new connections brought fresh energy. Collaborative projects sprouted between communities, joint art festivals, crosstown mentorship programs, and initiatives to preserve local histories while forging forward into a more unified future. Leo often recalled the lesson that every seed of hope could blossom into something magnificent when nurtured by shared dreams and collective effort. In quiet moments, when the night deepened and the glow of streetlights mingled with the soft hum of new possibilities, Leo would reflect on the unending journey of legacy. The transformation he had once envisioned had grown into a sprawling movement, one that transcended geographic boundaries and cultural divides. The legacy of honor, resilience, and compassion that had once been a quiet whisper in an alley now sang out in vibrant choruses across many communities. As Leo continued to mentor emerging leaders, both near and far, he understood that the work of building a better future was never truly complete. Each new challenge was an opportunity, a call to reimagine, rebuild, and reinvigorate the bonds that hold society together. And so, with every step taken beyond the city walls, the movement he inspired grew larger, leaving a trail of hope in its wake and affirming that even the smallest spark of courage can illuminate the world. As Leo's transformative work at home blossomed into a powerful model of reconciliation, whispers of his success soon traversed borders. Invitations to international peace forums and community renewal conferences began to arrive, each seeking to capture the essence of his grassroots approach. In cities like Berlin, Tokyo, and Nairobi, the quiet hero shared his journey, one that began in a hostile alleyway and evolved into a testament to the healing power of empathy and unity. At these global gatherings, Leo's message resonated deeply. Diverse communities, scarred by divisions and conflicts of their own, saw in his story a blueprint for transforming despair into hope. Through open dialogues and community workshops, leaders and citizens alike exchanged ideas about rebuilding fractured societies by nurturing trust and understanding. Leo emphasized that the smallest acts of kindness, consistent, genuine, and courageous, could dismantle the barriers that had long kept people apart. Back home, the local community center had evolved into an international hub. Digital platforms now connected his neighborhood's initiatives with similar movements across continents. Remote workshops and virtual roundtables allowed for a continuous exchange of stories, strategies, and support. The center became a living archive of change, where art, technology, and grassroots activism merged to form a vibrant tapestry of collective healing, a reminder that transformation is both local and universal. Journey from a bullied child to a community luminary was now a shared narrative, inspiring countless individuals to believe in the possibility of change. With every new connection forged and every bridge built between diverse cultures, the humble spark of hope that once illuminated in this era of global awakening, Leo's legacy had transcended his personal history. His dark alley now shone as a beacon for a more compassionate and united world. Following the global awakening, Leo found that the seeds of transformation he had sown in his own neighborhood continued to flourish in unexpected ways. Inspired by his journey, an international network of community centers began to emerge, a mosaic of local initiatives united by a common desire for reconciliation and progress. As Leo traveled between these hubs, his presence became a catalyst for inter-community dialogue, bridging cultural divides and uniting diverse voices under a shared banner of hope. At a summit held in a sprawling conference center in Geneva, leaders from disparate nations gathered to exchange insights from their own struggles and triumphs. In heartfelt panel discussions and collaborative workshops, Leo listened and contributed, his experiences resonating deeply with those who had once been on the brink of despair. The summit, vibrant with spirited debates and moments of quiet understanding, reaffirmed that real change is nurtured from within, growing organically when communities invest in empathy and mutual support. In the months that followed, the ripple effect of Leo's influence was felt not only in bustling urban landscapes but also in remote villages where digital connections bridged vast distances. Youth mentors, emboldened by his example, established online forums and virtual workshops to empower their local communities. Through these interconnected efforts, stories of resilience began to blossom, tales of former adversaries turning into advocates, of neighborhoods stitching together fractured bonds, and of a global tapestry woven from the dreams of ordinary people determined to create extraordinary change. Even as Leo continued his travels and outreach, he never lost sight of his humble beginnings. The boy who had once been bullied and belittled had grown into a man who recognized that every act of kindness, however small, could alter the course of history. In quiet moments of reflection, he recalled the pain of his early days and the steadfast resolve that had carried him through adversity. Those memories served as a constant reminder that while challenges are inevitable, the power of community and compassion is boundless. Thus, as the ripple of change expanded outward, reaching every corner of the globe, Leo's journey became a living testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. Each community touched, every leader inspired, and every life transformed affirmed that even the smallest spark of courage can ignite a revolution. Like ripples on a pond, the movement of hope continued to spread, forever altering the landscape of the world. In the quiet twilight of another transformative evening, Leo found himself at a crossroads that felt both inevitable and profoundly hopeful. The community he had nurtured for decades was now flourishing under the guidance of a vibrant new generation. Young leaders, many of whom had once sat in the same hesitant silence that Leo knew so well, had begun to emerge from every corner of the revitalized neighborhood. Their eyes shone with a determination to continue the work of healing old wounds and building a future based on empathy and collective strength. At the heart of this renewal was Jonah, a spirited young man who had grown up inspired by Leo's journey. Jonah had once battled his own inner demons and the ghosts of a troubled past. And in Leo, he had found a living example of what courage and resilience could achieve. Over countless evenings spent in the community center's modest study, Leo had shared his hard-won lessons, stories of quiet defiance in the face of cruelty, of small acts of kindness that blossomed into meaningful change. Now, as Jonah prepared to take on a leadership role in a new youth mentorship program, it became clear that the legacy was ready to move forward. During a community forum held in the freshly renovated town hall, Leo formally introduced Jonah and a cohort of emerging leaders to an audience of longtime residents and newcomers alike. Standing before a sea of expectant faces, Jonah spoke with a calm assurance that belied his youth. "We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us," he said, his voice steady and sincere. "Our future is not defined by the scars of our past, but by the choices we make today, choices that build bridges, nurture hope, and honor the legacy of compassion that has been entrusted to us." In that moment, the weight of tradition and progress mingled as Leo silently observed from the back of the room. He recognized that his time as the central beacon of change was drawing to a gentle close. Not as an end, but as a seamless passing of the torch. The community center, once a modest haven born from necessity, now thrived as a dynamic institution fueled by innovation and the raw energy of youthful ambition. Its digital platforms buzzed with initiatives that reached out to other neighborhoods, towns, and even distant communities seeking to replicate the model of reconciliation and growth. As the night deepened and the forum drew to a close, Leo stepped outside to a quiet street where familiar lamplight illuminated both his past struggles and his present peace. In that silent reverie, he understood that true legacy was not confined to personal achievements, it lived on in every act of kindness, every conversation that bridged differences, and every new idea that sparked collective change. With a bittersweet smile, Leo embraced the knowledge that his journey had not ended, but had instead become part of an unending cycle of hope, resilience, and shared dreams. The torch had been passed, and in its warm, enduring glow, the promise of a better tomorrow shone ever brighter. As the years unfurled into a tapestry of hope and renewal, the community continued to evolve into something even greater than anyone had imagined. Under the dynamic leadership of Jonah and his cohort of young visionaries, the neighborhood blossomed into a vibrant network of interconnected communities, each a living testament to the enduring power of empathy and collective action. In the early light of dawn, when the city was still wrapped in a gentle hush, the streets echoed with quiet determination. Public gardens burst forth where once there had been barren lots, and once forgotten walls were now canvases painted with murals that told the story of transformation, from the pain of division to the promise of unity. Every brushstroke, every seed planted in the soil, resonated with the memory of Leo's journey, a reminder that the legacy of change was not confined to a single moment, but was an ever-growing force. Across digital platforms and community forums, the ripple of transformation spread far beyond the city's borders. Neighbors in distant towns, inspired by the courage and resilience that Leo had embodied, began to establish their own centers of hope. These hubs became places where lessons learned were shared, new ideas were nurtured, and the scars of past conflicts were gently healed with dialogue and understanding. In every conversation, in every act of kindness, the movement reaffirmed its core belief that every individual carries within them the power to spark change. Leo, now a revered elder and mentor, often spent quiet moments reflecting on the journey that had reshaped not only his own life but the lives of countless others. He watched with a tender pride as the young leaders, once mere echoes of his own struggles, carved out paths of compassion and courage. Their efforts ensured that his legacy was not just a memory of past triumphs, but a living, breathing force that continued to inspire future generations. In the soft glow of each new sunrise, as laughter mingled with the whispers of community gatherings, it became clear that the story was far from over. The trials of yesterday had given way to the promise of tomorrow. And every act of kindness, every brave step toward reconciliation, wove a new chapter in the unending journey of transformation. Thus, as the city and its people moved forward together, a new legacy emerged, one built on the steadfast belief that even in the most fragmented world, hope and unity can triumph. One compassionate act at a time. As decades turned into a new era marked by rapid technological change and evolving global challenges, the legacy that Leo had nurtured continued to evolve in unforeseen ways. A fresh generation, inspired by his story, and the transformative power of compassion, began to emerge, one that merged traditional values of community with modern innovations to meet the needs of a rapidly shifting world. Among these new visionaries was Ava, a young entrepreneur whose passion for sustainable urban development was matched only by her commitment to community healing. Growing up with the echoes of Leo's legacy, Ava saw the community center not just as a physical space, but as a living hub of creativity and dialogue. She spearheaded a pioneering project to integrate digital connectivity with grassroots activism, launching an interactive platform where citizens could collaborate on local projects, share innovative ideas, and propose solutions to contemporary challenges such as climate change, social isolation, and urban renewal. Under Ava's guidance, the center transformed into a nexus where traditional community spirit met cutting-edge technology. Local residents engaged in virtual town halls, online art exhibits, and digital mentorship programs that connected them with peers from distant cities and even across continents. This network of shared vision and effort allowed the small spark of hope ignited in that once turbulent neighborhood to spread like ripples across a global pond. Every evening, as twilight softened the edges of the modern skyline, community members gathered both in person and through the platform to celebrate their collective progress. They shared stories of success and struggle, debated ideas for a more inclusive future, and reaffirmed their commitment to forging a society where every voice contributed to a better tomorrow. The spirit of unity, once kindled by a bullied boy's quiet courage, now illuminated new paths toward sustainability, innovation, and intergenerational empowerment. In this ever-evolving chapter of the journey, Ava's initiatives embodied the eternal flame of hope and reminded everyone that progress was not a destination but an ongoing voyage. Each innovative project, every shared success, and all the collaborative efforts stitched together a future that was resilient and vibrant, a future where the legacy of courage, compassion, and community continued to inspire generations. And as the digital echoes of shared dreams mingled with the timeless rhythm of human connection, it was clear that the journey of transformation was far from over. It was, indeed, just beginning anew. In the years that followed, the movement of hope evolved into an intricate tapestry, each thread a testament to the power of unity, innovation, and human connection. The community, once defined by its struggle for survival, had matured into a vibrant network where ideas, art, and technology interwove to create a shared destiny. Digital platforms now serve as virtual town squares, where community members from all walks of life gathered to exchange ideas, celebrate successes, and tackle new challenges together. Under the stewardship of leaders like Ava, Jonah, and a new cadre of inspired voices, projects blossomed that transcended traditional boundaries. Urban farms sprouted on once forgotten rooftops, makerspaces and creative hubs turned abandoned buildings into centers of learning and collaboration, and intergenerational mentorship programs brought together elders whose lived experiences enriched the innovative spirit of youth. In every corner of the city, murals and interactive installations told stories of a past marked by hardship and a future built on collective dreams. The digital realm, too, became a canvas for transformation. Virtual reality meetups allowed distant communities to engage in immersive cultural exchanges, while online workshops connected activists and artists across continents. These initiatives not only celebrated diversity but also provided practical solutions to modern challenges: environmental sustainability, social justice, and economic empowerment. The seamless blend of tradition and technology reminded everyone that progress was most powerful when anchored in shared human values. As dusk turned to night, community celebrations continued under both starlit skies and the glow of computer screens. In these moments, the essence of the movement shone brightest: the belief that when hearts and minds unite, no challenge is insurmountable. The tapestry of tomorrow was still being woven, thread by thread, with every act of kindness and every spark of ingenuity contributing to a legacy that promised a better, more connected world. Thus, with the strength of their shared vision, and the courage to embrace both change and tradition, the people of this revitalized community marched onward, each step a declaration that the journey of hope is as endless as it is transformative. In the early weeks of spring, a quiet tremor began to unsettle the vibrant tapestry of community life. The urban farms and neighborhood gardens, symbols of the movement's sustainable spirit, found themselves facing an unforeseen challenge: a sudden, harsh drought that threatened to wither the tender shoots and freshly planted hopes. News of failing water supplies spread quickly through the digital town square, where neighbors and global partners exchanged urgent messages, innovative ideas, and practical advice on conservation techniques. Ava, ever the visionary, quickly organized an emergency virtual summit. "Now is the time to blend the wisdom of our elders with cutting-edge innovation," she declared, her voice steady over the crackle of the online conference. Experts from distant cities and local environmentalists joined the discussion, pooling together resources and strategies, from ancient water harvesting techniques to modern, sensor-driven irrigation systems. Jonah mobilized local youth to create community response teams, ensuring that every household had access to practical solutions and support. At the community center, the air was thick with both worry and resolve. Residents gathered in small, socially distanced groups to share supplies and work side by side in community gardens, transforming a crisis into an opportunity for renewed collaboration. Amid the strain, moments of warmth and solidarity emerged: shared meals under makeshift tents, laughter over improvised water-saving contests, and quiet assurances that together, they could weather even the harshest drought. In that charged period, the community's digital platform became a lifeline, a virtual canvas where every post, every shared insight, and every act of kindness reinforced the enduring truth that unity and innovation, when converged, can overcome the most daunting challenges. The convergence of dreams, now tested by nature's unpredictability, only deepened the community's commitment to a future where every drop of hope was cherished and every obstacle transformed into a stepping stone toward a more resilient tomorrow. When the skies finally cleared and the long-awaited rain began to fall, it carried with it not just water for the parched earth, but a promise of renewal. The drought that had so recently threatened to upend the community's hard-won progress now receded into memory, leaving behind transformed landscapes and a strengthened spirit. In the community gardens, where leaves had curled in despair, Vibrant green shoots began to emerge. Every raindrop seemed to whisper reassurance. Ava, standing amid the burgeoning rows of new life, couldn't help but smile as she observed neighbors gathering their rainwater in repurposed barrels and newly installed collection systems. "This isn't just water," she remarked during one of the morning check-ins on the digital platform. "It's the very essence of our resilience. Our ability to rebuild and grow together." At the community center, which had been a flurry of emergency planning only weeks before, a new calm had settled. The digital town square buzzed with reflective conversations, stories of the crisis, shared insights on conservation, and plans to further fortify the community against future challenges. Jonah organized an impromptu Harvest of Resilience festival, where residents celebrated not only the return of nature's bounty but also the enduring lessons learned during the drought. Under makeshift banners and strings of soft lights, people exchanged recipes that made use of every last garden vegetable and recounted personal victories over the hardship. Leo, now a revered elder whose life had once been a quiet beacon of hope, took a slow walk through the revitalized park that bordered the gardens. As he strolled along the wet pathways, he reflected on the journey, from the early days of fear and bullying to the countless battles fought in both quiet conversations and public forums. He recalled how the community had rallied together, merging modern technology with age-old wisdom to overcome adversity. The crisis had tested them, but it had also revealed their remarkable capacity for unity and ingenuity. During one of the evening gatherings, as the rain subsided into a gentle drizzle, and the community shared stories by the glow of lanterns, Leo addressed a small circle of young volunteers. "We've learned that our strength lies in our willingness to adapt," he said, his voice steady and full of quiet conviction. "Every challenge, every moment of darkness, is simply an invitation for us to shine brighter together. Today, our gardens bloom not only because of the rain but because of the enduring spirit within each of you." As the festival carried on into the night, neighbors recounted how the digital platform had evolved during the crisis. Once merely a tool for organizing emergency measures, it had transformed into a dynamic forum for sharing local knowledge, ancient techniques of water conservation mingled with the latest sensor technologies, creating a repository of wisdom that was both timeless and innovative. This fusion of past and present became a defining hallmark of the community's identity, a living legacy of resilience passed from one generation to the next. The experience of the drought left an indelible mark on everyone. It had deepened their understanding that real strength was found in cooperation, innovation, and the willingness to learn from hardship. In the days that followed, new initiatives were born, a series of workshops on sustainable living, the creation of local eco-clubs for youth mentorship, and partnerships with environmental experts from neighboring regions. Each project, no matter how modest, was a brick in the foundation of a future that embraced both challenge and opportunity. As the rain turned to gentle mist and the fresh scent of wet earth filled the air, the community celebrated not only the return of water, but the blossoming of hope that came with it. The crisis had receded, but its lessons would remain, a constant reminder that even in the harshest drought, the seeds of renewal and resilience could take root. Nourished by the collective spirit of a people united in purpose. In that shared moment of rebirth, Leo's eyes shone with quiet pride. The journey that began in an unassuming alley, marked by hardship and whispered legacies, had grown into a powerful movement. And as every new drop of rain kissed the earth, it renewed the promise that together, they could weather any storm and watch the seeds of hope flourish into a future of endless possibility.